Wanted to do this video real quick and just talk about why I joined eXp. There's a lot that I want to cover in this video, so just bear with me. I'm gonna be at certain points maybe talking in circles, but hang in there. The point I want to talk about is, I'll give you real quick my background. So obviously born and raised in East Texas, single mom. I was an entrepreneur at 12 years old. I had a lawn business. It wasn't just like neighborhoods. I actually had commercial properties that I used to mow by myself. My mom would take me to the city because we're from the country, drop me off in Tyler. I would mow these dentist office, doctor offices, CPA firms, and then I'd sit under the tree and wait on her to come back. The point I'm making is I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, something I've always been passionate about. I went to Texas A&M on a football scholarship, had a solid career here in College Station, went off to the NFL draft, got drafted by the Packers, had a neck injury, then I became an investor. As I started investing in real estate, people kept asking me, can you help me do what you do? Got my license in 2010, went to Keller Williams for a year, and then just was frustrated. I knew I had more in me. I had more in my tank. And if I'm gonna do anything, I wanna be number one. So I started TM5 Properties, an independent firm. It was just an idea on a napkin. Literally, it was in the middle of my depression as I was transitioning from my neck injury. I had neck surgery, rehab, and just kind of recreating myself. Started an independent, which was TM5 Properties, started growing it from scratch. We got it to right at 950 million in sales, right at $1 billion. I think we'll hit $1 billion in, next month. And as we were doing that, we started getting, courted by everybody under the sun. I mean, Compass, Robert Refkin and I met, great dude. Gary Keller, Keller Williams, got to meet him, great guy. Gino Blafari, Chris Stewart of Berkshire Hathaway, and Realogy, the list goes on. And we just kept trying to figure out, how do we keep scaling and growing as an independent, but also bring value to our agents and to our clients. So, we did right at 6,000 deals and right at $1 billion in sales. And that was a lot of deals I was able to watch, learn from, and really understand where we were missing value props to scale and compete on a national and global level. And so for us, we were the #1 independent in the Bryan College Station MLS. I think for the last 5 years in a row. We won Texas A&M Mays Business School Aggie 100 Award for 3 out of the last 5 years for one of the fastest growing Aggie-owned companies in the world. We won Inc. 5000 2 out of the last 3 years for one of the fastest growing private owned companies in the US. And individually as an agent, I actually, been top 1% in the United States for agents, and obviously in Texas for volume and sales. So my best year as an individual agent with one assistant was right under 60 million. And I usually do between 30 and 60 million every year with one or two assistants. So I'm only telling you that to tell you, I know production, I know growth. It's something that I'm really focused on trying to get better at. And so when I was looking at, okay, what's the next step that we need to take at TM5? It was, how do I add more value to my agents? How do I add more value to my clients? And how do I focus on really scaling this thing nationwide? Because no one really knew what my wife and I were doing because we were in a small college town. But we joined Leading RE in 2016. And I still remember, Leading RE is 550 independents, 150,000 agents worldwide. And we love being a part of Leading RE. It was a great network. But when you join and you go to these masterminds, you have to stand up and speak about who you are, what you're doing, and you got like 3 minutes to speak. And when I went to this big event, I knew it was a big deal when I went in the room and I see people had earpieces because they were listening to the people on the stage in different languages. And so that really stretched my thinking. I mean, there was people in my mastermind from Hawaii, from Japan, from Australia, from South Africa. And so I really started saying, okay, real estate can be done at a global scale, but I was still in College Station because I was a #1 independent. You have to be #1 and #2 independent to be in this network. But the point I'm making is I ended up having to speak, and every broker owner had to speak for like 3 minutes. And I remember I got up, gave my spiel on what we're doing at TM5 and how we're doing it. And I spoke right before one of the breaks. But when I got ready to get up and go to the bathroom, there was a line. And I was like, okay, what is everybody in line for? And they were like, well, what are you talking about? I was like, why is everybody standing in line? I was like asking the lady standing there. She's like, well, we're all standing in line to talk to you. And that's when I was like, okay, so all you broker owners from around the world are standing in line to talk to me. She's like, yeah, everybody's standing in line to give you their card. Well, I had that reaction when I played football. People used to stand in line to get autographs. Great. I wasn't looking for that, but they were just so moved and inspired by what I said. It was so different the way that me and Erica grew our brokerage. And the reason why it was different because we started it in our early 20s. We have no mentors and we just read books, watched YouTube videos, and scaled this thing up. And I ran it like an athletic organization because, I wasn't just catching touchdowns with the Packers. It's $1 billion company. I was watching how they ran the organization. So I took a lot of those principles and put it in my real estate company. And so it was different because it wasn't one formula or one playbook. It was something that through hard work and faith and just studying and praying, I pieced together this model. And one of the big things that people couldn't figure out, because the average agent does 5 to 8 transactions a year. That's a national statistic. I think it's up now. I think it's like to 10 or 11. But from the moment we started our company up until last year, I think our average went down a little bit, but on average, we were at 30 deals per person. So our per person production was off the charts. So on average, if you were an agent at TM5, you did 30, 32 transactions a year. That's unprecedented. And so people wanted to know what we were doing, how we were doing it. And that's when I realized I had more to give to the whole real estate ecosystem than what I was doing here locally in College Station. So I went on this journey to try to really understand why should I, really roll out a different model. And so I started really looking at, expansion models versus running bigger brokerages. And the big thing I learned, and I can tell you guys, like I went on a journey for 5 years. So from 2015 to 2020, I went to New York, I went to Miami, I went to like I literally went anywhere you can go to meet with people about how to scale a real estate brokerage. I met with all the top minds in real estate brokerage. And they all know me personally now. And even if they didn't, I emailed them and called them over and over and over until they responded to me. And just the conclusion I came to was the traditional brokerage model is dead. It's just not going to work. It is truly the brick and mortar, train agents, unless you can get to 200 to 250 agents and you're not a producing broker. So you just sit at your office and train and recruit, it's not going to work. And for me, I wanted to be a producing broker. So I really struggled with that. And that's the reason why I chose eXp. The pain points I was dealing with as an independent was technology. I mean, if you look at Compass, they have SoftBank backing them. Keller Williams has a lot of funds backing them. These bigger franchises, Realogy is a publicly traded company. As an independent, when you're trying to compete from a technology standpoint with these big global companies, it's just tough to keep up with. So you're chasing the Zillows, you're chasing the CRMs, you're chasing the ISA companies. You're just piecemealing all these things together to try to create a technology package for your agents. And it's tough to keep up with. Scale. When I'm in a small college town trying to scale my company, I needed the right platform. I needed those certain things that could help. I was also running into recruiting. I'm not real big on recruiting. I like to attract the right people and then just double down on those relationships. And in return on my time, when you're running the brokerage yourself and you're trying to produce and you're doing all the training, it becomes a burden. And then the commitment to the vision of my brokerage. As I grow and scale and attract more people, I wanted the right people on my boat and the wrong people off my boat. And then you got to decide, are you going to run a brokerage and get to 200 to 300 agents? Or are you going to focus on your team? Because there's a lot of models that you run into as an independent and really trying to figure out what's the right model for you and what you really need to move forward with is tough at times. Liability. I would train agents on a topic and then literally they call me on a Sunday night at 10 o'clock asking questions about a topic I just trained on. And that's life. I didn't mind taking those calls, but I was taking 50 calls a week from my agents about stuff that I know I've trained on. And so the liability, E&O insurance, those things just, it gets tough. Training. I did all of the training from the moment we started the brokerage to the point in which I merged with eXp. I did a lot of the one-on-one coaching. Even on my mentor program, I had to follow up with the mentees. I did all of the team huddles. I remember there was almost 2 years I didn't miss one sales meeting. And so you kind of feel at a certain point almost like a ball and chain because people aren't there, but you're there every week. And I was doing all the training. And so that was tough, man, because I want to bring the best to my agents, but there's just no way that I could train at a scale in which I felt like we needed it. Now, don't get me wrong, I was very confident in what I was training about, but there was only one of me and I wasn't able to really leverage that. And so that was the next thing is no leverage. And then the old brokerage model just doesn't work. It's not going to work going forward. I mean, you look at Zillow, they're turning it into a real estate brokerage. You look at Redfin, some of the things that these brokerages are doing, it's tough to compete. So why did I choose eXp? I'm gonna go through a couple points real quick, then I'll get out of you guys' hair. One, broker liability. You know, when you're the broker in Texas, or maybe in most states, but I know Texas, you carry the liability of every person in the building, whether they send a text message, an email, write a contract, a phone call, whatever they're doing, it's real estate. It's a real estate task. You have the liability. And I remember one of my really good friends, Terrence, was a broker already. And when I got my license, I said, hey, I want to start a brokerage, but I don't have a broker's license. Will you hold my license? And she told me, I love you, T, but no. Actually, hell no. She's like, because I don't want the liability. And I remember saying, man, it's not that serious. Well, if you look at the lawsuits in real estate that are rising, as the broker, you're carrying that liability. And there's only a matter of time that people are going to try to pierce the veil of your company and come after you and come up over an email and over a contract. And so that just gets crazy. It also, eXp being a cloud-based brokerage. If we didn't learn anything in 2020, people were like almost laughing at eXp when they said that they were going to run a cloud-based company and they had this online software and they had this world in which they operated the company out of. And then COVID happened, the pandemic happened, the whole world shut down. There was millions of square feet of commercial space that real estate brokerages own. No one was using it. And eXp was the only company in the world that doubled their agent count through the pandemic. So that being able to operate from my laptop and, I want to travel. My kids are actually getting in sports now. I want to be able to travel and watch them. I'm a softball coach, a soccer dad. I want to take vacations. I want to see the world with my wife. I want to have a place in other states to get out of the heat in the summer. It's tough to do that if you run your brokerage at the brick and mortar way, and you're the only end all be all trainer, broker, mentor. It's a ball and chain. You're stuck in the office. And that cloud-based opportunity that eXp provided for us really changed the game for us. Then the technology platform. We always tell people, and Dave Kennard was the president who told me this. He said, you didn't sell TM5, you merged TM5. We joined forces. So you're just you still own your company. You're just running it on our platform. And so the technology platform that eXp provides is something that's really brought value to us. And then the training. They have 50 to 60 hours of live training a week with Icon agents. So Icon agents means they take out of their, currently, I think there's 55,000 agents at eXp. Out of their current agents, they take the top 1%, and that's who does the training every week. So that would be someone like me, right? I'm a top 1% agent in the United States. My team this year, my small team, not my brokerage, just my team in College Station will do 100 million this year with 4 agents. So they asked me to come in and train on topics that I'm passionate about. Well, that's who's doing and leading the live training in the world at eXp, Icon agents. And then, giving my agents ownership. If you look at 98%, probably 95 to 98% of agents have no ownership. So giving them ownership, now they're shareholders in a $1 billion company. You can look eXp up. They're $1 billion company, publicly traded company. Look them up. And so now my agents actually have ownership in that company. Because before that, they had no ownership in TM5. I mean, it was my wife and I's company, but now I'm actually providing an opportunity for them to be shareholders in a $1 billion company. So we did that for them. Then the 3 revenue streams. Obviously, our agents get active income. So if you go out and sell real estate, you make a commission. That's pretty obvious. 80-20 splits, which are very competitive, and a $16,000 cap. I'm not sure where you can go and get a more competitive cap than that. We couldn't provide that type of cap as an independent brokerage because we needed to keep the lights on. We needed to provide value to our agents, and we just couldn't do it. So to be able to go and provide this same value that we brought at TM5, along with what eXp is doing, and our agents have an 80-20 split and a $16,000 cap, I mean, where can you compete with that? So active income, but we created 2 more revenue streams for our agents. And everybody knows that knew me before, I was very passionate about teaching just people in general about multiple income streams. I have a podcast called Real Estate Entrepreneur with Terrence Murphy, and I'm always talking about multiple income streams. So we were trying to provide that as an independent, and we were going to create this captive investment plan for our agents where they can invest in this fund and we go buy real estate as a group. We were just trying to think outside the box and get them those things. And but eXp has now provided 2 more income streams: residual income and passive income. Residual because now there's 6 ways that they can earn stock. So when they do a transaction, their first transaction, they get company stock in a $1 billion company. Anyone that they bring over does a transaction, they get company stock. And there's many more ways for them to earn stock. Also on their cap, if they icon, which means they pay in their $16,000 on their cap, but then they do 20 more transactions in that anniversary year, they get $16,000 back in company stock. So that means they get their whole cap right back to them. Like I said, there's ways to do that. We can talk about that on another video. But it created residual income and then the passive income. So there's a thing called rev share. So not profit share, but rev share. So when agents do a transaction that are a part of their organization, they get a portion of that commission to them directly on every month. And so creating those 3 revenue streams was big. Then a global referral network. We were a part of Leading RE. This is very similar. So being able to have a global referral network, we're in all 50 states at eXp and we're in 14 countries. And I think by the end of this year, we'll be in 25 to 30 countries. So that's important. And then, you know, for us, when we talk to Compass, when we talk to Remax, when we talk to Realogy and Century 21, we talk to Sotheby's, we've talked to everybody under the sun. We didn't want to lose our brand. The maroon and white is very important to us because obviously I'm an Aggie. But also the yellow is my high school's color, and it's also, obviously I played for the Green Bay Packers. So TM5's color scheme is very important for us. We didn't lose our brand. We did not only lose our color scheme, but we didn't lose our brand. So we were able to still retain that as an independent and merging forces with eXp. So keeping our brand was very important. And then collaboration. Now I can collaborate with people that are big thinkers like myself. I just left from Cabo, Mexico, when they rolled out eXp in Mexico, and I was there with some big minds thinking about how do we grow, how do we scale, how do we bring value to our agents and our clients, anyone who's a part of our world. And I was there with Grant Cardone. I mean, he's a big thinker. And so now I'm not that person who's always coming up with the ideas. I'm not only the person who's always trying to create movement and create growth. I'm in a room of people that are doing that. And I actually now get to just sit back and take notes, and it feels amazing. It just feels so good because I'm not only the one pouring out every week and then I go home and I'm depleted. I get to sit and people are pouring into my cup. And that just global collaboration is big. And then one of the last things I want to hit before we get out of here is scalability. One of the things that we knew, we are doing something different at TM5. We feel that we have a value proposition that's bigger than where we're at. And now we can scale into all 50 states and we can go to 15, 16 countries. So that's why we were there in Mexico. That's why we're working on expanding. And so there's going to be a couple of ways that you can be a part of our organization at TM5 through expansion or just joining our organization. And we'll be talking about that on other videos, but now we can expand and scale. Because if I want to go to Miami or New York or Florida, I got to go get a broker's license. I got to go take classes. I got to go take the state test. I got to pay all these fees. That's what I was going to have to do. It's a very arduous road as an independent. But now being a part of the network of eXp and their platform, I can expand to all 50 states next week. I can go into 14, 16 countries next week. So now I'm just looking for the right people that I can mold and grow and help them grow their businesses, and we can expand nationwide. So thank you for listening to this video. There'll be more videos coming out, but this is just a quick tidbit on why I joined eXp.